Gibson Mustiane V, designed by Esteban.
Ooh. Burn! Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to SMG Viewers Comments, episode number 357, the show that's about you, not about me. Just wanted to comment about that first one there. Wow, I thought I was fucking savage. You guys really take the cake though. Those Esteban guitars were just an atrocity. Samurai Guitarist got a great video on the subject. I definitely recommend checking out his channel if you haven't already. Great dude, great player. And yeah, apparently those Esteban guitars were pretty fucking horrible, so glad to know where Gibson learned how to build guitars from. Anyway, let's get right to it.
Hi Glenn, I remember watching your videos years ago before I ever even considered becoming an audio engineer. Now that I'm 18, I've been accepted into OIART and I'm scheduled to start in September. You inspired me to become an audio engineer. Any advice? Love your videos.
Wow, I'd just like to say congratulations, and I'm sorry. I hope you enjoy ramen, because there are no fucking jobs recording bands. Anyway, my advice would be maybe look into getting into doing sound for television or cinema or something like that, jobs that actually pay well. I've got a couple buddies I went to college with. They've had very successful careers doing Foley work for movies, that kind of stuff. So that's something you might want to look into, because that will definitely allow you to pay your bills and still let you work with audio. As for going to audio school, the only advice I can give you is you're going to get out of it what you put into it. If you're going to spend your weekends partying and sleeping in and just generally being useless, don't expect to get much out of school. If you're going to buckle down, if you're going to give it everything you got, and that means putting every spare minute you have into school, you'll probably get something out of it. That being said, I always recommend people go to OIART, especially people down in the States. It's based in London, Ontario, which means you're going to get a massive currency advantage there. And they charge very reasonable rates, considering when you compare it to other for-profit schools in America, like Full Sail, which in my opinion are just total ripoffs. Seriously though, dude, I wish you the best of luck. Just be prepared to do the work.
Sheffield 1200 speakers sound very good compared to a JCM 800 cab with selection T12 T75 speakers. They make most other speakers sound good. My 5150 bottom cab sounds better than my 5150 top cab, fuller bottom end, and without the fizz in the top end people complain about. Both cabs have Sheffield 1200. So if you're going to buy one, look for a bottom cab, because they always sound better from any maker.
Andrew, that's just fucking terrible advice. Here's the reason why your quote-unquote top cab sounds fizzier than the bottom cab. It's mainly because the speakers are angled up and you can hear them more clearly. The thing is, especially when you're talking about miking up a cabinet for recording a guitar tone, you're going to want the top cab because it's angled. It's got the angled baffle, and therefore won't build up standing waves and give you a mushier sound. They're far better for studio recording. That's why you can get a really shitty cabinet like those Behringer cabs, drop in some decent speakers, and they sound absolutely incredible because they've got that angled front baffle. That's why the Rev cabs sound so great, because they angled the baffle at the front. Once again, no standing waves. It's simple physics. In the case of the Sheffield 1200, though, I stand by my original assessment that it is a horrible piece of garbage, and Edward Van Halen should have been embarrassed to have fucking been associated with that in any way possible. I know for a fact that they pulled the Sheffields out of his on-stage cabs and dropped in Greenbacks, because those actually sound good. Now, you might not like the T75s. That's absolutely fine. There's a lot of people who like them, a lot of people hate them. That really comes down to personal taste. I know there's a few guys on the SMG Discord who went out and found some vintage ones from the 80s, and they're getting some pretty decent results. Some of my favorite records were recorded with T75s, but then again, I've never had a lot of luck with them. I've got an older set kicking around here that I've got mounted up. I really do need to try miking them up at some point and seeing what I can squeeze out. But my advice is just avoid the Sheffield 1200s like the plague, because they're fucking terrible.
Hey Glenn, it's a long story, please help me out. I've been playing guitar for about 2 years now, just got my first electric guitar. For an amp, I was thinking to go with a Positive Grid Spark, but due to recent rise in prices and import duty stuff, it's just out of my budget. I had to settle for a Marshall MG15G. This thing is a piece of shit! It promises to deliver the classic Marshall tone, but the best I can squeeze out of it is a shitty, watered-down 80s hair metal tone. The thing buzzes like hell. If I drive the gain beyond 5, I had to connect a copper wire to the cable to the ground to the other end to get rid of the buzz. The shitty tone just destroys my playing mood and prevents me from even playing my favorite riffs. How can I get a good tone out of this amp without showing out a ton of cash on pedals?
Well, yeah, those little Marshall combos are not good amps. I wouldn't recommend that to anyone. I'm not sure where you are in the world, but it sounds like you're getting screwed by import fees, because the Positive Grid Spark is not an expensive amp. And now they've got the Spark Mini I'm going to be checking out. I'm hearing some good things about it. Apparently it might even sound better than the original Spark, and it's going to be less money. You might want to take a look at that. The other thing you can think about is, instead of spending money on pedals, upgrading the speaker on that Marshall. That might help a little bit. find something a little more brand name, because I guarantee Marshall found the cheapest speaker possible to put in that piece of shit amp. Ultimately though, what I'd recommend is if you're short on cash and you have no way of getting around it, is to grab a free amp sim online. Like go to ML Sound Labs, check out the Amped Roots. That's going to sound pretty good. It's got one model that's absolutely free. It sounds great right out of the box, and you're probably gonna like playing through that. The other one to check out, I need to do a Fearless Gear review on this at some point. I'm hearing some good things about though, is the new one from Jens Bogren. It's like $30 download or something like that. You just dial it in and it sounds good. There's one knob, that's it. It's going to sound good. So if you've got some kind of a computer, laptop, and an interface, I'd probably go with that route and play through headphones or something like that, because you're going to get far better results than playing a piece of shit combo amp from Marshall. I think those things just prove the point that putting a brand name on something does not mean quality.
Who fucked up Fricker's guitar? James Curley, Gibson CEO.
And what was I just saying about putting a brand name logo on something and quality?
The hairline crack at the neck heel is a serious issue if you ever want to resell the guitar.
Oh yes, the Gibson video. Yeah, the comments just keep coming in. There was a lot of feedback on that one. And I have to agree, I was really scratching my head about that one. Like a hairline crack at the neck heel, there's just no excuse for that sort of thing at all on a guitar of any price point, especially one that costs $2,800. That is a serious fuck up.
The best part, I've got to say, is Gibson accidentally advertising Jackson on their guitar. Priceless, though not worth the guitar itself.
Yeah, I've got a theory about that one. I've been scratching my head on this one for the last couple of weeks, and the only reasonable conclusion I can come up with that getting out the door is probably because the person who was stamping the logo on the back of the guitar with the clear Jackson outline was also the same person doing quality control. Okay, real quick, this episode of Spectre Sound Studios has been brought to you by Distrokid, my favorite online music distro service, and I've been using it without any issues whatsoever since 2015. It's the one-stop shop to get your music online to all the major music streaming sites like Apple Music, Amazon, Google Play, Spotify, plus over 150 smaller online music retailers as well. It only costs a whopping $20 a year, and you keep 100% of your earnings. Just fill out your tax forms. Distrokid also has lots of cool features like getting your project more followers on Spotify with the hyperfollow feature, or change your image on Apple Music and iTunes, plus adding credits and liner notes to stores and streaming services. You can now list musicians, contact info, social media profiles, and hundreds of other roles. There's also a synced lyrics feature, so you can have the lyrics play along to your Instagram and Apple Music posts. This is especially great if your singer loves to cup the mic and nobody can understand him. Now, what's more is the new splits function works great for those long distance collaborations like everybody's doing these days. Splits allows you to pay your collaborators automatically by percentage, so you can concentrate on making music instead of learning how to be an accountant. You can change the splits, plus add or remove collaborators at any time, and collaborators get a 50% discount on their Distrokid account. Now, for all you drummers out there, that's a whopping $10. Now, there's 3 levels of plans available: Musician, Musician Plus, and even one for music labels. I use Distrokid to put my music online, including this channel's theme song, The Eagle Has Landed, and even got a license through Distrokid for that cover of Moon on the Water we did a couple years back. Go to distrokid.com/VIP/Spectre today and grab yourself a 7% discount on the first year. Follow the link in the description below, and now it's time for the Butthurt of the Week.
Buying something from the USA nationalism. You bought an ultra-American Fender. Also, you aren't entertaining. People are laughing at your opinions because you're trying to make a guitar political when everyone has a personal taste and people's guitar choices don't rely on that kind of stuff. Also, guitar brands rely on paint jobs usually are the worst guitars. Gibson isn't known for paint jobs unless you're looking at Les Pauls. I don't know why you would pick this guitar to complain about a paint job when it's a Flying V, and Mustiane was obviously fine with putting his name on it, so maybe you just can't stand that people enjoy something you can, so you go out of your way to try and ruin it for people.
Or maybe I shelled out $2,800 for a guitar and I got a shit fucking paint job, Ted! Did that ever cross your puny fucking mind? Okay, now, look, buying a made-in-America guitar is not nationalism, but apparently I have to spell out the obvious because you missed it. It's okay to buy a made-in-America guitar, that's fine. But insisting, USA, USA, we're #1, quality's the best from USA, that's complete bullshit. The quality of a guitar should not be judged by the stamp on the headstock or made in USA. The quality of the guitar should be based on how the guitar is actually fucking made. Just because you buy made in the USA does not mean quality. as evidenced by the Gibson Mustaine V. There, Ted, did I spell it out plainly enough for you? Was that slow enough for you, or did I use too many big words? One more question there, though. I don't quite follow your reasoning. Apparently, Gibson can get the paint right on Les Pauls, but not on Flying Vs. Dude, what kind of ass backwards fucking logic is that? Please unstick your head from your ass, Ted. We'd all appreciate it.
Hi! The one thing that all you armchair experts aren't touching on is that every guitar you compare to the Gibson Dave Mustaine V is that the Gibson is the only guitar that has a nitrocellulose finish. I challenge any of those entry-level bolt-on import mass production guitar companies to do a set-knit, made-in-USA guitar with a nitro finish at that price point. Nitro is much, much more difficult and expensive to apply than a poly finish, and generally don't necessarily look like a shiny new penny every time. Nitro allows the guitar wood to breathe and its excess moisture evaporate from the wood over time, allowing the instrument to become more resonant over time and as it ages, creating a truly heirloom quality vintage instrument. Poly is like trapping a fly in amber. Sure, it may generally look better, be cheaper, and easier to apply, but it is not a high-quality finish by any means.
Well, at $2,800, the finish better be fucking flawless. And the fact it was cracked at the heel and had issues all over the place, there's absolutely no fucking excuse for that. Not at $2,800, there is not. Sure, you can say nitrocellulose all you want, but that's no fucking excuse for shitty workmanship. You're charging $2,800 for a guitar, you better fucking deliver the goods.
Just discovered this video. I must say I spilled my coffee all over the place watching it. I laughed out loud so hard. Glad you're the best.
Hey everybody, that's Jen Majura. Glad you enjoyed the Gibson video, Jen. That's awesome. Hey, we'd love to get you on the show at some point. Maybe we can demo some Ibanez's or something like that. Might be a lot of fun. I think I'm going to be traveling through Europe this summer, so hopefully you have some time. If you guys would like to see Jen back on this show, leave a comment below and let us know, because I'd love to make that happen. Hopefully we can. Just got interrupted by Purelator Courier here. These amps, I'm looking at a stack of them here. I'm supposed to be sending them off to Rev to get modded for European power and Israeli power for the prize winners. The G20 sitting in this thing right here. Purelator just called to tell me, hey, we got your address wrong, so we're not going to pick your amps up for like another 4 days. Purelator Courier, they're a truly Canadian courier system, and that means if it absolutely positively has to be dealt with incompetently, go with Purelator. They're bound to fuck it up for you. Moving on!
How do I deal with controlling bandmates? My childhood friend is my bandmate. He is never willing to pursue any of my ideas and song structures. Even when I say the words, hey, let's try this, or how about, he looks at me like a kid sitting at the adult table. He'll make changes to songs only when he deems appropriate. He is the all-holy gatekeeper. He won't even let me attempt to record my own guitar parts in the studio and says, this is the industry standard. I'm only allowed to play my solos. I'd understand if the parts were super complex songs that need exact same hands playing it. I'd also understand if he tried to record and didn't practice. He isn't exactly doing it in one take. They're just chugs and chords. They're also different and unique parts. Either he believes I can't play a clean take, or he just wants all of the glory. How hard can it be with a fret wrap and half the strings taped down? It's like he's pushing me out of the way to catch a fly ball in the outfield.
Dude, man, life's too short to deal with megalomaniacs like that. If there's not enough space in your musical project for you to play in it, then go find another one. Go work with people you can work with on a musical level and express yourself. If you feel like you're being cut out of it, then don't fucking put up with it. There's plenty of other musicians out there to work with. It's a big planet. There's a big population. You're bound to meet somebody who can work with you better. To me, it sounds like your friend is a megalomaniac, and really, do you want to spend what little time you have on Earth dealing with that bullshit? Seriously? Do what makes you happy, man.
Do you have any cheap overhead mic recommendations for recording drums?
Yes, I would highly recommend checking out the Lewitt 040 Match Pair. I think they're like $249. I've got a video on them. I'll have a link to that in the description as well. Definitely worth taking a look at those. A super awesome price to performance ratio.
Got my hands on a Lewitt 441 Flex years ago after using an SM58 for vocals, and for the few personal recordings that I do, it is absolutely amazing. Handles distorted vocals like an absolute champ, and I highly recommend checking it out for people who are in the market for a new mic.
Now, this video is not being sponsored by Lewitt, but I've certainly got enough of their mics, and I've demoed enough of them over the years to be a gigantic fan of the brand. Everything from the 240 Pro to the 440 Pure to my absolute favorite, the 1040 Tube monstrosity. They're all really, really phenomenal mics. Plus, their dynamics are great. I always say this, if you're in the market for, say, a Sennheiser 421, but you don't want to spend $400 on a mic, grab the Lewitt 340s. They're just as good and only $99. I can't say enough good things about Lewitt mics, and although they're not sponsoring this video, they are going to be sponsoring the next episode of the History of Recording. Make sure you watch that one. It's all going to be all about the development of microphone technology. It's going to be super cool. Make sure you're subscribed so you get notified for when that one comes out.
I feel like metalcore in the early 2000s ruined clean vocals for me. There was so much whiny chorus vocals, I really lean towards extreme vocals only. I don't mind good singing, but there's a fine line between quality vocals and whiny bitching.
Yeah, I never quite understood that either. It's like you're whining about your feelings in metal. It's like this is fucking metal. No one gives a fuck about your feelings. If I want to hear about feelings, if I want to hear somebody sing about his feelings, they're gonna put on a Simon and Garfunkel record. The rest of you guys, nut up or shut up.
V30 just sound good, and people that listen to it naturally gravitate towards it. You know one speaker I listen to and cringe every time? The Greenback. OMG, what a screechy little trident sounding shit speaker that is.
Weird. You know what? I absolutely love the Greenbacks, especially the newer ones with the EVH branding on them. They're phenomenal. I've been recording those for the last few months and been getting some absolutely stellar results out of those. The weird thing is, the newer vintage 30s I'm not really a fan of. I still like the older vintage 30s, like the early 2000s ones that had a bit more of that spike thing going on. They're phenomenal. The newer ones just kind of sound kind of harsh and by comparison. And that's a real shame. Unfortunately, yeah, we're not getting the same V30 sound we used to get. So that's why I kind of push people to try and get away from that. Fortunately, we're in a world where we have some serious options now. The WGS stuff is great. The Mojo Tone stuff, I just demoed that with a Happy Cabs here a couple weeks back. Absolutely incredible stuff. But the one thing that's been getting a lot of use in here is the Hisu Demon. Oh, what an incredible speaker. Really highly recommend checking that out. I've also got an Eminence DV77 that's seriously overdue for a review. I'm going to put that on the show in the next few weeks as well, because that needs a serious look at it too.
There's just no bloody way for me to compete with the V30 Master, which is Adam Getgood. That's why I ventured somewhere else to find there are great sounds other than that.
Dude, I'm in total agreement with you there. That's the one big sticking point is, when it comes to vintage 30s, there already is somebody who's mastered that tone, and that's Adam Nolly Getgood. His tones are absolutely incredible. Hell, his V30 Sim, I demoed that a couple weeks back. That's a great sounding plugin. He basically sampled his best vintage 30s, mic'd them up the best they could, and you plug your amp into that, you're gonna get a good sound, but you're never gonna get better than what he got. That's the big sticking point there. It's kind of like trying to be in a gent band and trying to be better than Meshuggah. It's just not gonna fucking happen. So that's one reason I stress to people, go try something else, try something new. Try the DV77, try the Hisu Demon. Hell, try the new Celestian Hempbacks. Those are great too. There's so many amazing speaker options out there. All I want to see people do is branch out from the tried and true and try something else.
Will you kill me for saying my favorite speaker is the T75? I saw Ola do a comparison between all his different cabs, and turns out his cabs with the T75s and the Demons were my favorites. Then I saw another comparison he made specifically between the V30 and the T75, and I much prefer the T75. I know said the Shitfield review that you don't like them, but maybe we should go back to the T75 and experiment with that.
That's an interesting sentiment. I put on Ozzy's No More Tears, and I love the sound of that record. And that's Zakk Wylde playing through some T75s on a Marshall cab. So maybe there is something to that. Maybe I should try blending. I've currently got them sitting in my shitty Behringer cab alongside the Neo Greenbacks. Maybe I can get a blend there and get something really cool like that. Once again, I've got a bunch of different options from Mojo Tone just sitting around and blending as well. I don't care for the T75 all by itself, but you know what? It might work with a Greenback. It might work with something else. It might work really cool with the Hisu Demon, actually. That might be interesting. That's a cool thing. There's so many combinations out there to be had, so many things that are not a vintage 30. So to all you vintage 30 fans, I'm going to ask this. Have you tried thinking for yourself today? Perhaps it's time you did.
Oddly, I dreamt about the new contest reveal last night, so dreams come true, I guess. Also, I'd anticipate lots of original ideas like, I'll be there for you from friends.
Yeah, that's the one problem. Remember we did the 80s contest. We had about 7 entries of Never Gonna Give You Up. So there is the danger of that. I can either ban the song or just have a special dedicated episode to I'll Be There for You and see who gets the best one. That might be fun too as well. Remains to be seen. Well, I'll keep kicking around some ideas, but the TV show theme song cover contest is definitely leaning to like it's probably going to happen. I'm going down to NAMM in a couple weeks. We'll see if I can pick up some sponsors for that, see if some of the brands want to get involved, and maybe we can make that happen. Time will tell. I'll keep you guys posted. Just make sure you hit the subscribe button in the meantime.
On the amps versus cabs comment, I use STL Tone Hub for my stuff, amp sim, I know. And you can sort by the amp or cab you're using. And when you have multiple amps going through the same cab, there's not much difference. But when you have the same head through different cabs, there are some significant differences.
That is absolutely 100% right on the money. The big difference in your tone is going to be the cab, and this is why I'm screaming at people to try something other than a vintage 30, because that way you won't sound just like everybody else with no imagination. Try something new. I do really like the STL Tone Hub. I actually demoed the Colin Richardson expansion for that a couple weeks back. That's a phenomenal plugin. It's even though I don't want to duplicate exactly what Colin's doing, it's kind of giving me a good jumping off point as to where I should kind of point in directions of where I'm chasing tone, that kind of thing. If you haven't checked out Tone Hub, I'd really recommend it. It's a really badass plugin. And again, not sponsored, I just think it's really cool.
If you think you have to compete, you really need to look at the cover of Dawkins Under Lock and Key. Then listen to the record. The album is phenomenal, probably their best album, but the band fooled themselves into doing a really glammy cover art that they remain embarrassed by to this day because they thought they had to keep up with Motley Crue.
That's a great point. That was a great record. I saw them on that tour. I saw them open up for Judas Priest on that tour, and yeah, I thought they were great. That album had some real classics on it, like It's Not Love and In My Dreams. Killer fucking tracks by any standard, and yeah, they had a monster guitar player by the name of George Lynch. Great record. Yeah, you're right though. They did look pretty fucking glammy on that album cover, and it is kind of hilarious in retrospect. So yeah, there is something about that. I'd say to everybody out there who's doing metal, why not? Fuck competition. Fuck trying to compete. Try and find your own thing and stick out from the crowd. You'll probably have better luck that way. All right, everybody, that's it for this episode. Thanks once again for hanging out. Thanks for your comments and questions. Keep them coming. I am out of here. So until next time, praise Grom and crush your enemies.